Here's our title for today. Why should I intern abroad? And the reason we pick this is that so many students, we understand the benefits, why students should be going abroad, working abroad, but often students see so many barriers to it. And so we're trying to brainstorm and think of ways where we can really make students believe that they can go abroad, not only that it will be beneficial for them, but also that they will increase their skill set and be better for it kind of as an individual and a person, a more globally rounded person. So you see the word motivation there. I think that's a really strong part. It's important for us to motivate students to believe that this is something that will really be an excellent part of their education. So my name is Rachel Crisso on the right there. I'm a university partnerships consultant for CRCC Asia. This I'm doing after spending 20 or so more years at the University of Michigan, where I ran the International Internship Program. And I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, who is at the University of Michigan currently. We were former colleagues together. Mariana, please go ahead and say a couple of words.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Mariana Nadav. I'm currently an Assistant Director of Student Engagement at the LSA Opportunity Hub, and I used to work with Rachel, like she said, and I help students get international internships and oversee that process. So I'm excited to be with you today.
Great, thanks Mariana. Oh, and I see the results of the poll. So looks like we've got a kind of a nice mix of people. So we're going to try and keep this webinar fairly short, and we hope to, thanks Mariana. We hope to actually begin a nice discussion between us all so that people can also share their insight into how they've managed to motivate students to go abroad. So moving to the next slide, but let's look at the advantages. I think in many ways we're preaching to the choir here. We all know that students who come back from certainly study abroad as well as working abroad sometimes come back a little bit taller, a little bit stronger, a little bit more confident. They've got their intercultural exposure. They've probably increased their foreign language if they went somewhere that wasn't English speaking. They've gained work experience, and they've really learned to navigate working abroad. And I think this is one of the things that they don't realize until after the fact, is that they have to learn about work culture within their new city or place. And for example, they're going to need to find out what time work starts. Does work starting at 9 o'clock mean 9 o'clock on the dot? Does it mean 9:15, or does it mean 5 to 9? And they're going to have to learn how to interact with their new coworkers. Is there such a thing as the water cooler conversation? What do people do at lunchtime? Do they socialize after work with their colleagues? All of these are important parts of learning not just the culture of the country, but the work culture of the country too. And I think it's a little bit subliminal in many ways, and it's obviously a little bit scary for some students when they first begin. But when they finally get there, I think the learning and understanding can be great. And this part about navigating a social life abroad, I think is another truly important aspect. In the past, I've encouraged students to obviously to try and meet local people, but that's easier said than done. I've given advice for some to join sports clubs, and that's worked quite well in the past. If somebody plays soccer, for example, they can join a local soccer club. I've had people join chess clubs. There's certainly language cafes where you can go and speak English to a local, and they can teach you their language. And a church also, I think, has been in some ways good for some people, finding common religion, and just finding different ways to meet local people, I think has been important in the past. And networking abroad. Hang on one second. Okay, apologies for that loud noise that I can't actually stop. Okay. So networking abroad, yes, again, this is something that we encourage students to very much meet as many people as they can in their companies, get as many business cards as they can, add people on LinkedIn, and begin building an international network. Thanks, Marianne. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And students often will come to us, or we run into them at events, and they'll be like, well, this isn't for me. I can't see myself doing this. Funding, of course, is obviously one of the major stumbling blocks that students come across. There's a lack of confidence sometimes. They can't imagine themselves being able to provide value in an international company. So there are important ways in which we can teach them that they probably can do that, or they definitely can. Some students are concerned about how they're going to be accepted. Non-traditional students perhaps are worried sometimes about how they're going to be welcomed when they get there, and it's a legitimate concern. They're going to be leaving their comfort zone, their support system, and so it's a big step. And so we try to support students in their decision making, where they're going to go, and also in the process as they're preparing to go abroad. We do find students are very, very much worried about missing family and friends, so we do try and help them set up kind of a system, kind of a remote support system, if you like, so that they feel that they do have that kind of in the background. And then some students can be concerned that what they learn abroad might not be applicable to the job that they're going to be looking for ultimately when they get back to the States. So this is something we really work hard to teach them, that by showing them different examples of students from the past. We do a lot of peer-to-peer mentoring so that they can learn exactly what their peers have done in terms of an internship, and then how that has translated into their overall experience and skill set. Thanks. So we're going to use today CRCC Asia, the placement company, as a case study. And here's some stats from 2019. I'll let you take a look at that rather than just reading through it. As you can see, they do work with larger numbers of students. And so what this has enabled us to do is gather some really interesting data about students' decision process on whether they're going to go abroad, where they're going to go abroad, what kind of job they'd like to do. We have data from when they are abroad, and then probably most importantly, we have data from when they return and when they can really see the difference that this has made to them. Yeah. Next slide. Thanks, Mariana. Yep. And as you can see here, this is the post-internship survey, some of the results from it. So 90% of students or interns returning agree that they can communicate easily and professionally in a business environment with emails and meetings, etc. So the huge uptick there in probably confidence, I would say, and skill set learning. 30% increase in their actual confidence. So students really believe now that they have a story to tell when they walk into an interview, and they are able to kind of stand out from their peers in terms of having accumulated this international experience. And 44% increased familiarity with social norms of their program location, showing increased cultural agility. This, I think, obviously goes without saying. Once they get back, they realize they have managed to navigate this new work culture and this new environment, making friends, having new colleagues, and hopefully building up their global network. Even this has, in some cases, led to their first job. So 1 out of 5 were at least offered future employment from their host company. And 9 out of 10 students would recommend CRCC Asia as a placement company, given the care that they take with not only placing students in the correct internship, preparing them properly, supporting them throughout the process, and also at the end of the process as well, helping them with their employability. So I'm going to turn it over to Mariana now, who's going to talk a little bit more about the University of Michigan.
All right, so at the University of Michigan, we have a newer initiative of the LSA Opportunity Hub. And the LSA Opportunity Hub is all about helping our liberal arts and sciences students make sense of their degree. And so one of the ways we do that is encouraging co-curricular activities like internships. So we actually have our own internship program, and we have a variety of internship opportunities and partnerships that we have throughout the US as well as globally. But one really unique opportunity that we have is the Global Virtual Internships Program, which Rachel actually spearheaded. So lucky to have her as part of the call today, the webinar. And these internships are really unique because they help students explore this idea of virtual and remote work, but with organizations that are all around the world. And so they get a chance to, have communication that is remote and work with a company that might be domestic as well as global. So this is something we're really expanding, and students have really caught on to the idea of, and we continue to develop partnerships throughout the years to expand this offering. Another way we expand and reach kind of our students with internships is coaching and courses. So for our coaching, we have coaches available through drop-ins and appointments where students can just come in and say, I don't know where to start. I know everyone keeps talking about internships, and I know I want to be abroad in some way, but how do I even get there? Or maybe there's a student who knows particularly where they want to go. They might be wanting to do journalism in Germany by chance. So we have coaches on hand to help with that. And we have databases that we utilize and partnerships throughout the university that we help students get connected to. We also have courses that help students do similar things as coaching, but it's in a more structured format. And one thing I want to note is that our coaching and courses not only help students identify opportunities, but we also help students with their application materials because we know it's not just about finding opportunities, it's about having strong applications for those opportunities. Another really unique advantage that we have at the Opportunity Hub is what we call our Opportunity Network. And this is a database that we have for jobs and internships. And really, we focus on the internship part of this side of things in the database. This database is only accessible to our LSA students. So we know we have other colleges and other groups of majors on campus, but our LSA students can only access this database. So we vet pretty much every position that comes through for the database. We also put on events to get students connected to internship opportunities and connect with peers to learn about those opportunities. And so one of those is our internship forum. And also we've done an international internship showcase in the past. These events include past interns that had internships maybe the summer prior. And they actually do poster presentations about their experience, how they found out about the internship that they got, how their experience was, what tips they have for peers that they're talking to in the future that are maybe interested. Hub staff are also available on hand. So we have those coaches available to talk through application processes and other ways to get connected to internships. And we also invite alumni to these events. They come in and they talk about how to break into industries, how to obtain internships. And so we have this variety of resources of staff, alumni, as well as peers, which is an amazing connection for students to have. We also do workshops. And so here are a couple of varieties of our workshops that we offer. We have launching an internship certs. We actually have working remotely. What does that mean? And then we also do our pathways and preps internship or workshops that focus on specific industries. Finally, I wanted to point out our industry interest survey. We know that there are certain times during the year when internships are more popular to be applied to, but we want to capture students when they're thinking of internships. So we have a survey on our site that allows students to fill out at any point, and they can list their interest in specific industries and maybe specific countries that they want to go to or areas. And so we can take that information and tailor our outreach so that we're giving students what they're interested in, and that's a captive audience to connect with about internships that we might find out about. So it's been really helpful and something that's been a newer initiative on our end. One special thing that I wanted to note that we're noticing here at the Opportunity Hub is that students are coming in wanting to go abroad and work abroad or study abroad in an area that has a heritage connection to them. They're really interested in connecting with their roots. I just met with a student last week who was very interested in going to Kenya because of her father's heritage in particular. So I wanted to point out and read these two quick quotes just to show you how particular of an interest this is and how awesome of an opportunity it is to connect with roots. So Barbara, she interned in Cambodia, and she said, this opportunity has not only strengthened my desire to pursue a career in the medical field, it has also allowed me to resonate with my Cambodian roots. And then we have Kathleen, who interned abroad in Ecuador. And she said, this opportunity was fundamental to my growth and development, not only as an inspiring agent of change within the education field, but to dig deeper into my roots as a young Latina woman navigating through life. So in both of these examples, you can see that they got a chance to connect with their career interests, but they also got a chance to connect with their personal selves and their own heritage roots. So I think it's important to know, as supporting offices, to have resources available on hand to be ready for that conversation. I know some universities like Vanderbilt, I've recently seen they've extended their website of resources to offer support for students who are going abroad in a heritage connected area, to have some identity resources available for them too and support. So something to think about. This is a really great quote that I just wanted to read off quickly to showcase how, like Rachel was talking about, the outcomes of interning abroad and how impactful of an opportunity this can be. This is Brian, who I've actually had a chance to connect with on a personal level at the University of Michigan. He interned and he said, I feel that this experience has marked a turning point in my life. I've learned so much about consulting, social enterprise, and myself. My Spanish was tested, I was placed outside of my comfort zone at times, and I met some incredible people. With hands-on experience consulting for a small social enterprise now under my belt, I've become more mindful of what businesses, people, and passion can accomplish. This will allow me to apply my degree in a more meaningful way and find a career that complements that. He also said he feels strongly about the importance of international opportunities for students. The perspective and growth mindset I garnered over the summer is something I will continue to kindle for the rest of my life, both personally and professionally. I think this just captures both that professional and personal side. Like he mentioned, he got a chance to explore the language part of things and explore the consulting field and business field, but he also got to develop that growth mindset and resilience that we hope for when students are going and interning abroad. So really cool quote, and I just wanted to blast him all over our website because he's such a good example of the outcomes of interning abroad. So I wanted to highlight some ways that you can reach students and the ways that we're doing it here at the Hub. The one really cool way that I know Rachel has been a part of before is the International Career Pathways. She's helped to develop this. This is kind of a series of opportunities that students can get connected to that all have to do with international careers or international internships. So there's a variety of workshops available that students can get connected to, or sometimes it's some networking on site with a particular agency like the U.S. Department of State. You can see there's some assistance with navigating the search, particular topics for navigating internships for engineers, teaching abroad, Peace Corps, but there's also this International Opportunities Fair, and I think it's actually happening today, yes. So the International Opportunities Fair, it's like a career fair, but all international opportunities. So it's a big event to orchestrate, but it's great because students love tapping into a resource like this where they can talk to people face-to-face about opportunities. Some other ways we do this is our communications efforts. We have really great communication staff on hand at the Opportunity Hub. We feature stories about alumni that have been and interned abroad on our website, but also on our Instagram posts. And that's a great way to connect with students. We also have alumni connections. These are amazing because we can bring in alumni that were once in the student's shoes. And we often can offer that in a virtual way. You can see here's an example right here. One that we did last week is we had someone in a London-based consulting firm who was talking to students and connecting with students about interning abroad, their path and how they got there and how to get connected to opportunities. So really cool. And then also leveraging LinkedIn. This is an amazing way to really leverage technology because you can actually write in universities or colleges into LinkedIn and it will pull up alumni. There's actually a little button, I don't know if you can see it right now, but it says alumni and it will pull up anyone who has said that they're on LinkedIn and that they went to that university or college. And you can filter out those alums by where they work, where they live, what they're specializing in, and what degree they got. So it's really cool. And we encourage students to reach out, kind of cold call and connect with students via or alums via LinkedIn so that they can reach out about opportunities too. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Mariana.
Yeah.
Just another couple of slides and then we'll move to discussion. It's Rachel again. So we wanted to, I know that the University of Michigan, you know, Mariana and I both realized that we're extremely lucky to work there and quite well-funded programs, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to give you a little roadmap to suggest some ideas that if, you know, you don't have a huge budget for your internship program, how can you get the word out to students and how can you motivate them to think about going abroad? Get the word out, of course, you know, sounds simple, but isn't always easy. It's not always easy to even let students know. I mean, the number of people that used to walk into our office and say, oh, I didn't even know this existed, you know, it was quite stunning. So that's important, and that will depend on the communication networks that you have at your school. But I strongly encourage people to leverage those as much as they possibly can, to the point of when you think it's too much, it's never enough. The more they hear about it, the more they are likely to step into the office and really try and find out if they can go abroad. Show them that the path is in incremental steps. You know, they don't have to do everything all at once. There's research to be done. They need to think about where they'd like to go, what kind of job they'd like to do. And I think taking these in bite-sized pieces can really help students to see that the end result, big as it might seem to them, can be reached by just taking one step at a time. And support is important when they're going through this. They often need help deciding where they might want to work, what kind of area, what kind of industry, etc. So just discussing with them their passions and their possible desired profession if they have one, or just what they like to do and what they think they're good at. And those conversations can often lead to them having a better idea of where they might like to work. Using returning students, as Mariana mentioned, with the programs at Michigan, we've done that very, very heavily. We can talk to, we're blue in the face. When a student hears it from another student returning, then suddenly a light bulb can go on and they look at that student and think, that student's just like me, I can do this too. So we found that to be a very powerful motivator for students. Funding, as I mentioned in the first slide, always a difficult thing. Universities often have funds, and hopefully there are creative ways that students can work towards helping pay for these experiences. And then support while they're doing the internship is also extremely important. Thank you. So here's a little actionable checklist. You know, do you have a campus marketing plan? That's important. And how can you tap into that? Do students understand the timeline? It's always very important. Students will walk in and say, I want to go abroad. And you say, well, the deadline was 3 weeks ago. So very important that they understand exactly what they need to do and when. Helping them sign up with all the information that you'll need as staff members. Helping secure funding, as we just talked about. And preparation, I think, is key. We want students to leave feeling like they know what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be received. Very important also kind of arrival day. I think arrival day and first day at work, so help making sure that those go smoothly can be very important. Also, self-reflection. We had students, and CRCC Asia certainly has students self-reflect while they're doing their internship. So not waiting till the end to think about, oh, what was that? But actually kind of proactively thinking about it as they're going through it and adjusting if they need to whilst they're there so that they get the best possible employability outcome. When they get back, we help them with re-entry, which can be as simple as helping them put their internship on their resume, but also teaching them how to talk about it in a professional manner so that they can showcase what they have learned, both professionally and personally, while interning abroad. And then the post-grad follow-up. We like to see what they've done once they've left the college, and once they've gone out into the world, what did they do? And CRCC Asia has some good data about the kind of jobs that students get once they get back. So I encourage people to try and follow up in that way when possible. Well, thanks for your patience in listening to both of us. There we are, and I've got my tea because I love tea. And there's a little Q&A button on the left if you would like to write any questions that you have for us. They'll pop up. And we have one already, which is great. And if you just want to unmute yourselves and jump in at a time, if that makes sense, that's another way you can ask a question. So I'll read this. Mariana, it's a question for you. How does the Career Center interact with the Study Abroad office? And I assume the question is from Tim. Yes.
Yeah, so we're expanding that partnership actually. And Rachel could speak to it more too, because I know she was in the beginning stages of the Opportunity Hub. But we are starting to develop a partnership so that we can offer internships as well as some that are kind of that middle line of internships and studying abroad. So we're actually heavily working on that partnership now so that we can leverage those opportunities with our Study Abroad Center, because we know that they have them and they know about them. And so that's a collaboration we're really trying to make more this year. So more newly developing that.
Thanks, Mariana. We have another question popped up. Can you talk a bit about the challenges with visas? I can take that. Obviously, that is a big challenge, and I'll kind of put my answer in two parts. And I'll say the first one: if a student is going abroad with a company like CRCC Asia, they do take care of all the visas. They work very hard to make sure that all students are working legally, and that there's no issues with visas. So third-party providers often include that kind of service, if you like. Which is one of the lovely key elements of going with a provider, and especially one that takes so much care to get the visas for students. The other part of the answer to that question is when students go abroad with alumni, or find their own internships, the visa situation does become more challenging. And while at the University of Michigan, we certainly encourage students to go to our international office. They have a lot more expertise dealing with sending students to different specific countries. And sometimes we'd have international students going to international countries. So it's not something that we could all keep completely apprised of, especially as that does change, as you know. And so the international office was really our biggest resource in that respect. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Mariana.
No, yeah, I thought it was great that the International Center, if you have access to that at colleges or universities, they're really equipped to help students with those challenges.
Great. I don't see any other questions. Mariana and I are both, we will be sharing this webinar with you. We'll send a link to all of you, and it will have our email addresses. So we're very happy to answer questions via email. And we both thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today and listening and taking part. As you can see on the screen here, here's our next webinar. It's going to be in January. Why should my institution offer international internships? So please do think about joining us next time, and look for an email with a link coming your way soon.